Reggie here, your friendly neighborhood bodybuilder and comic book collector, and I want to welcome you to another one of my videos. In this video, I'm going to offer you 5 tips as to why you may not have secured that GRAIL comic that you've always wanted. Your pull list might be too large. If you think about it, if you go to the local comic shop on a weekly or bi-weekly basis and you are buying 10, 20, 30 comics, all of that adds up. Those $3, $4, $5, whatever you happen to be spending per book actually adds up. And over time, by constantly buying those modern books that are coming out, that prevents you from being able to save up the resources that you need to get the GRAIL comic that you've always wanted. Now, if you have a large disposable income, pay no attention to this tip. But if you don't have unlimited funds, you might need to cut back on your pull list in order to be able to save the money that you'll need to buy the GRAIL book that you've always wanted. The truth is, the book that you've set your sight on might not be meaningful enough. And what I mean by that is that if the book that you have identified as a book that is important to you, that you want to have in your collection, but you haven't quite achieved the goal, the question becomes, is that a book that you truly want? Sometimes our wants are broad and we don't necessarily want it. We think that we want it. And so what you have to ask yourself, is this truly a book that I care about? Because the reality is that if you actually cared about that book, you would find some way to be able to save up for that book or sell other books in order to actually get the book that you have your eyes set upon. So ask yourself, is this a book that you really want? If it's not, take it off the list. Take some time to identify a book or books that you really do want. Because my thought is that if you really want it, you'll find a way to make it happen. Tip number 3, luck has nothing to do with it. I've had a lot of people say to me that I'm lucky that I was able to pick up this book, or lucky that I was able to add that book to my collection. The truth of the matter is that luck has nothing to do with it. I identify a book that I want to get. I think about the grade that I want to go after. I come up with a plan. I identify a budget. And then I figure out how much money I have to save up or how much I have to sell in order to get that actual book. It's not about luck. It's about having a plan and executing against that plan. So if there's something you want, let luck go to the side. Come up with a plan and execute that plan, and you'll be surprised at what you can actually do. You might lack focus. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I simply say that to say that if there is something that you want, you cannot have your attention, your resources, your energy diverted in multiple places. And so having tunnel vision isn't necessarily a bad thing. If the goal that you've set for yourself, the book that you've identified, is a meaningful book to you, and you set your sights on that book, block everything else out. All other temptations, let the FOMO go to the side. Execute your plan. Have focus. And again, I think you'll be surprised that if you can do that, you'll be able to make some magic happen. Sometimes having a defeatist attitude is the worst thing that you can possibly do for yourself. And what I mean by that is that I see a lot of comments where people will say, I'll never be able to get that book. I'll never be able to do that. You're so lucky that you were able to do that because I don't think that I'm that lucky. Again, that's a defeatist attitude. In my head, I believe that anything is possible. I believe that I can achieve anything that I set my sights on. And I tell people a lot of times, I consider myself too stupid to think that something isn't possible. Sometimes being stupid is actually a good thing, because if you say, I can't, I don't think, I'll never be able to, you're absolutely right about that. But if you were to say to yourself, I can do that, I'm going to have a plan, I can make that happen, your actions will sometimes follow that course of thinking. So don't have a defeatist attitude. So there you have it. Those are my 5 tips as to why you haven't been able to secure that GRAIL comic book that you've set your sight on. The reality is that you can actually do it. Use these tips, think about them, make a plan, have a course of action, and make it happen. If you need to reach out to me, feel free to do so on Instagram at Regie Collects.